Hello, BookTube. This little video is an experiment in a couple of different ways. One is testing out equipment. I'm using my little cell phone on the plastic tripod, a setup that I've used to make thousands of videos, but not recently. And I thought I would try it again to see if it all comes back to me and if it is suitable, if it is acceptable. That's experiment number one. It's just to experiment with technology. I'm not all that worried about that experiment. I have done lots of videos with this camera, so I'm pretty sure the results are passable, even if the lighting's not all that good. And the lighting is the second experiment, which is that it is a grim day. It is a grim morning here in Boston. It is rainy and out of a low, heavy black sky. And as if that weren't bad enough for getting the old spirits up and getting any kind of momentum going, it's also looking like this is the end of our freakish apocalyptic climate change reprieve from at least the beginnings touches of winter. It looks like the beginning touches of winter are going to start tonight and continue on for a week or maybe more than that. I myself don't believe it. That promised change was supposed to happen today, and even first thing this morning, walking Frida was purely shirt sleeves weather. You did not, aside from the occasional bursts of rain, you certainly did not need any kind of jacket, much less winter coats or clothing. It could happen. The temperature could drop 50 degrees Fahrenheit, but in the meantime, the mere threat of it has made me want a little bit of reprieve. So I am down on the floor, and I thought I would go through just a random sampling of romance novels, which are bright little bursts of sunlight. Just like what's needed on a day like today. There might be dark times in a classic romance, but they are pretty much the only genre left that guarantees you a happy ending. And that's just what I need. I will be taking one of the books that I show you and either reading it or rereading it tonight to perk up the spirit, since I don't think we're going to get any sunlight today. So I thought we'd go through them, starting with a zebra Regency romance. I have mentioned many times on this channel that I am very fond of old Signet Regency romances. If you ever see any of these at your local used bookstore, grab them all and send them to me, your internet overlord. But Signet wasn't the only shop in town that made them, and Zebra made some. And this is one of them. This is by Donna Simpson. It is A Rake's Redemption. And there you have a scene that would never have happened in the actual Regency for a number of reasons. And one of the smallest reasons is that no man of the gentry class had a build like that. Those are Soloflex muscles. But I read this book and really enjoyed it. Then we'll move from an old style, although not old enough, an old style Regency romance to new style Regency romances. It's still a very popular subgenre of romance, but the modern sensibility has taken it over, which isn't just sex. Sex is a large part of it, but it's not just that. It's also modern quipping. Modern Regency romance authors tend to disregard the period genre that will usually be in, for instance, an old style book like this. Here, the author will have, who is the author here? Martha Kirkland has wrote a lot of these old Regencies, and steeped herself in the lingo of the time. And more contemporary Regency romances, if we can use that phrase, don't do that. They don't bother at all. Not just with the terminology, but also with the attitudes. The wordplay, the attitudes towards the world, the attitudes towards the sexes. All of it is modern. It's just got a pretty Regency clothing to it. And I don't dismiss it for that. I really like it. Here is one author that I really like. I've never read a book by hers along these lines that I didn't like. This is Laura Lee Gerke. This is When the Marquis Meets His Match. There is the front cover, and you can see right away what I'm talking about, the difference, right? Her gown is totally anachronistic. It's not period accurate at all, and he has no clothes on. that is a radical difference. And this has a step back. Most of these things do, and there they are in the process of lovemaking, which certainly would not be. You know what I mean. And these are delightful, absolutely delightful. Sometimes Laura Lee Gerke will have a step back. Sometimes romances will. A lot of times they don't. I like it when they do. This one, for instance, doesn't. This is Governess Gone Rogue. There you have a classic Regency cover, bright colors, very good decision on whoever made this cover to match the unnatural purple of the clouds in the sky by giving the cast of this patio, the stones, the balustrade, a purple cast. Totally unnatural. In either case, if the clouds look like that, you're about to meet Judgment Day. And stone will never look like that under any circumstances. But it works. It works, and I think probably I've never talked to a cover artist for a romance novel. Wouldn't that be fun? But I think probably the decision was made that that was an excellent counter of a color palette to the aquamarine of the heroine's dress, and it does work. I really like it. I never miss a Laura Lee Gerke novel. This is How to Lose a Duke in 10 Days, and there you have just the heroine with a kind of moody background, but we do have a step back here. And there, once again, there is no other way to describe what they are doing. There's no way to soft code it. It's not. They are no longer in the caressing, the pecking, and the sweet nothing stage of what they're doing. And so you would never find that in what's another example? In a straightforward Regency romance, these older kinds like this, those older kind of Regencies, that sort of stuff happens off stage, not on stage. We have a couple of other zebra Regencies. We have the love-shy lord with she's sitting on his lap. I guarantee you they are not married, but in the Regency period, even if they were married, it would still be improper for her to sit on his lap. But I guarantee you that's not the case. She's dressed like some sort of servant. A fairly nice cover, anyway. Then we have, this is by Catherine June. This is Affectionately Yours. A very good zebra Regency romance that, as you can tell from the title and the cover illustration, is heavily epistolary, which is a little bit of a rarity. But then we'll move back to the full-on Regencies. We won't do many of these. This is just an experiment to perk up my morning, that's all. This is by Lee Michaels. This is The Mistress's House. There you have, he's in his riding pants and his boots, but he doesn't have any other clothes on. Here the artist has taken the decision to give this a very prominent, almost exclusively yellow hue, and to make him a darker shade of tan than she is. I think it works. I would love to get in the mind of some of these people. They must labor over these covers. They are very striking, and not only, that's not a side benefit either. They are competing on how eye-catching their cover illustrations are. Then we have Lorraine Heath. I love Lorraine Heath. This is She Tempts the Duke. I have this as an ebook, but nothing really beats having just a romance in your hands. I don't think this has a step back. No, it doesn't. And this is one of the, this is from 2012. It's one of the last appearances of this particular romance cover male model. I've followed him for a decade. I don't know his name. I don't know anything about him, but I've never seen him on a cover after this. That's going on, that's 10 years. That's going on a long time. What else have we got here? Oh, these are packed in. I was noticing, of course, this is totally scandalous that I'm doing this experiment about Regency romance covers, or romance covers just in general, when we're in the middle of New Worlds November, which I have been neglecting. When I was setting things up, I was thinking about that, and I was realizing I don't have a science fiction dedicated bookcase. It's all over the place. Mass markets, paperbacks, trade paperbacks. I don't have anything like that. Maybe I should. Maybe I would like that. I have in the past. It's just I got rid of hundreds and hundreds of science fiction mass market paperbacks. And that sort of broke the back of that kind of concentration. But I bet I have enough to fill a bookcase, and then at least I would know where all of them are. Well, this next one is a modern Regency romance, but it is very unconventional. This is Cat Sebastian, the soldier's scoundrel. See if you can spot the unconventional part. Yes, it's two men. Never mind that he has the solar flex muscles. Those muscles did not exist in the Regency period in a man. Even in a blacksmith, they wouldn't look like that. In the 20th century, in the late 20th century, the 80s especially, and then starting onward from there, the Charles Atlas idea, the much older Charles Atlas idea of sculpting a male body to look good rather than to be strong, just took off with the idea. I almost said the idea took off on steroids, but that was literally true, and it still is. That is the result. That's what you get when you do that. But still, Cat Sebastian is delightful. She did that, and also she did this. It Takes Two to Tumble. Here, the gentlemen are leaving their clothes on. Needless to say, this could not happen in the Regency period. That's what I'm saying. With these modern Regencies, these contemporary Regencies, you sort of leave verisimilitude at the wayside. It's sort of historical dress-up, which I can either take or leave. I don't so much mind it. Okay, then we have Terry Spear. This is a modern-day werewolf shifter novel. It is not Regency. It's just a contemporary. What it's doing with all these others, I have no idea. It's not in any kind of alphabetical order. This is Home for the Holidays. Silvertown Wolf, Home for the Holidays. And in normal cover design, you've got a Christmas wreath there. In a normal cover design, I would look at this and say, very interesting. In this cover design, I look at the cover and say, aren't you pretty? Ooh, boo, 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 boo. Because there's only one person on this cover that gets my attention, unfortunately. That's not what the cover designer wants. Then we have the great Megan Frankton. This is Never Kiss a Duke. This cover model I do know. This cover model I know all about. This is Paul Marin, who has graced thousands of romance covers. And there they are frolicking, outside on the grass. He is once again topless, and she is not resisting him. and it's a tired point, but the point to be made is that she would be, in the actual Regency period, she would have been completely ruined if anything like this had ever happened. It wouldn't have mattered if he married her. They would have been outcasts of society. Here we have another Megan Frankton, the Duke's Daughters. Very much along the same lines. Very much like the somber hues there. We have a contemporary Western. These are so good. This author is so good. This is, I think, probably my favorite of her books. This Gun for Hire by Joe Goodman. That cover model shows up on 2 of her covers, and I would have been happy with more. We don't have to go on for too much longer. Let's do a few more. The great Eloisa James. This is Desperate Duchesses. Here we have a kind of step back that I don't particularly like. It had its heyday on romance novels. It's now that heyday is largely now over. I know it fits the technical definition, but in my mind, a step back is where you get 2 different pieces of artwork, not a foil faux cover and then artwork, but rather 2 different pieces of artwork. Usually, I like to think of them as sequential. So not only are they 2 different pieces of artwork, but they follow a story. One is before the other, and this doesn't do that at all. And this one does. For instance, this is also Eloisa James. This is Born to Be Wild, my favorite of her books so far. And here you have one of the main characters, one of the Wild brothers, and then you've got to step back with another person in it and more action, so to speak. Then we have Valerie Bowman, Kiss Me at Christmas. This is another Christmas-style Regencies. The Regencies are very congenial to Christmas. There are lots and lots of Regency Christmas specials. They're big for that. Don't quite know why, but nevertheless, I mean, our modern ideas of Regencies started with Victoria's husband, with Queen Victoria's husband. They didn't start in the way that we typically think in the Regency period, but something about ye olden times and men in rough shirts and whatnot, and women in petticoats. Then we have Valerie Bowman again. This is But No Other Duke But You. There is Paul Marin, a rare smiling Paul Marin cover. He usually glowers, he usually smolders. If you had cheekbones like him, you would smolder too. Then we have Jennifer Ryan. This is another contemporary romance novel, Dirty Little Secret. Not sure what's going on there. I love the cover, but I don't think a silvery satin shirt would really work for him to work all day. He'd probably take in a bit of ribbing from his colleagues. Then we have a contemporary. This is Molly O'Keefe. This was really good. Crazy Little Thing Called Love. She also did a book called Can't Hurry Love. I don't think I have a copy of Can't Hurry Love, but this is just delightful contemporary stuff. And we can finish up with this one. This is Anna Bradley, A Wicked Way to Win an Earl. And here, it's a contemporary romance, as I'm going to call them. And this is an example of something that contemporary romances did, that you really don't see it in romances of any other kind, as far as I know, except supernatural, some supernatural. But the contemporary romances started it long before anybody else did, and that was to put romance cover in which there is no woman anywhere, in which the man is just completely dominating the cover. Not really sure why. I've never really understood that. I've always thought that on romance covers, part of the appeal was the woman putting herself in the place of the female character on the cover. Here, it's just wish fulfillment. It's just the man alone, that's all. Anyway, those are just some bright covers to cheer up a very dark morning. So I could go on and on. There are thousands of them here. But I'll wrap this up for now and test this video to see if it works. So I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.